Okay, Aquarius. I've been sitting with these cards for a minute. The bottom row especially, just kind of like looking at how wonderful this original bottom row is, but then how kind of distressed the clarifiers are. I feel like the clarifiers are kind of choking the message of the original three cards a little bit. And they're big cards, right? We got a couple of major arcana coming out with the Chariot reversed over here. And I feel like some controversy around this Knight of Coins. Although I feel this is still a good person. I feel like if it is an actual person, their intentions are very pure. They could be somewhat in alignment with this King of Swords reversed up here. I'm not quite sure of the relationship though, but they are connected. And although I don't necessarily see this person specifically feeding the Nine of Swords in any way, shape, or form, perhaps this is maybe even a part of you. And because we talked about the Virgo aspect of this, you know, we do know that Virgo can be extraordinarily self-critical, you know, self-effacing. They really have this ability to be super, super hard on themselves, spoken by a Virgo. And I'm wondering if that part of you, when I say be like a Virgo, I mean more like organized and working on the mundane, bringing it out of the big picture and keeping it on the day-to-day tasks. But I'm wondering if what's happening is the negative side of this is manifesting, and it's the self-criticism. You know, I'm wondering if that's a part of it. Because comes out and he gets clarified by the Five of Coins. And the Five of Coins is often a place of like despair sometimes, it could be, or it could be just a feeling of coming up short. You know, maybe for some of you, there could be a situation that happens where you feel like you're safe, and then all of a sudden someone pulls the rug out from under you. I'm not trying to project like a really negative situation. I'm just saying that I think you are in a more precarious situation than I realize, especially in like at least one particular relationship. And you're not as safe as you thought. And I'm feeling a real kind of skeezy vibe coming out, like someone, I'm not going to call them two-faced, but I'm just wondering if there's not reason to maybe be a little bit distrustful of someone. And it's probably the person that kind of like makes you feel more confused or makes you question yourself. I'm wondering if this might not even be for just a few people out there, but there's like definitely someone who's making you doubt yourself. There's someone who is weirdly taking pleasure in your Nine of Swords. Like they don't want to see you succeed, guys, and they don't want to see themselves get left behind. And I'm not seeing sabotage per se, but I am seeing like feelings of guilt and shame. And they want you to be cloudy, and they want you to think that they are definitely in your corner, but I question that. I do, right, with the moon. Now, I often like look at the moon and I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Like the moon is full of infinite possibilities and da-da-da-da-da. But when it's in a line like this, it tells me that there's ulterior motive somewhere. And the fact that that's coming out of a super, super safe space, it concerns me. So it's just like your intuition has to be on point. Okay, the good news is you have the Empress energy and you have the Queen of Coins energy. So the intuition is going to be there. But you have to be intuitive here, because I bet that if you give someone a little bit of rope, they are going to end up pulling you under. Okay, you have to like really know who's worthy and who isn't. And the thing is that like when people are here at a Ten of Coins place, an Empress place, at a Queen of Coins place, like you are the person, you are the one who is in a position of resources. That's just the facts. You are the one that has what people want. Okay, sometimes doesn't have to be money. Sometimes it is just your love. Sometimes if this is a codependent kind of thing, it's just your energy, you know? And people will take it, especially a King of Swords reversed, you know? Like the shadow part that's manifesting in someone else. Where you thought you were safe, boom, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm not as safe as I thought I was. That's why your self-reliance here with all this earth energy is so important. Your self-reliance in terms of your finances, your self-reliance in terms of your just your stability in general, your ability to generate income, your ability to love yourself, your ability to stand up for your standards, right? To fight for your standards, that's important. Because if you don't, and if there's a little too much dependence on someone else, you're going to be unpleasantly surprised. You know, it is. It is going to be a shock, right? The Tower, it's very electric. This is technically a card of Scorpio, and the fact that we also got the Death card in the very center of the reading suggests substantial scorpionic energy. Scorpio always operates in the extremes. It always takes it really far left or really far right, and it's hard to mediate that energy, and sometimes it can be like holy cow, like how did this even happen? Like how did I get pulled so far in this direction? And it can be shocking. But see, this Queen of Wands here, I like the Queen, I like the feminine energy, because the feminine energy is very curvy. It's unassuming. It doesn't hold a lot of expectations. It merely is just like, okay, well, whatever I got, I'm gonna be able to maneuver around this. And the Queen of Wands comes out with the drive and the ambition. This is a very Aries kind of energy. And there's also a Leo aspect here too, with the presence of the lions on either side. So we have this whole like fierceness and living into your brilliance here with the Queen of Wands. See, a Queen of Wands can emerge from the smoke and the kind of despairing Five of Coins energy squeaky clean. You know, like she doesn't have to be all scarred and tore up and traumatized and all of that. She just is a warrior, and she just goes through it, and she knows that that's just like a part of her journey, and for whatever reason she needed to do this. So there's a great deal of faith, like I said, although the faith doesn't really matter. You can have faith or not, but the Justice card is still going to be operating no matter what. But she does have faith, you know, which makes it kind of the medicine go down a little bit better. So then we have the Page of Coins, which is, you know, man, I think someone's going to try to offer you something, and it's going to be so like, so ridiculous. I don't know, that's the only word I can really think of. It's just like it pales in comparison to what you've been offering and what you've been given. And in a way, it's like, oh my God, like, are you seriously offering me like this Page of Coins right now? Like you're a king, or you're an emperor, or you're this, or you're that, and this is what you're giving me? Like, no, this is definitely a no-go. This is not acceptable. Here we have the Seven of Cups as well, which I do see, like I said, it's like coming out of the smoke. I do feel kind of like the emergence of everything. With this storyline down at the bottom, it's almost like a James Bond movie, you know, at the very end, where there's this huge explosion in the background and everyone is just kind of casually walking away. Like, you guys know the whole scene, we've seen it a million times, and I feel like this is kind of the chaos behind you. And it is through, see, the Knight of Coins might be a little frustrating, but he is also your saving grace, right? He came out last. This is how you're going to be ending up. It is the day-to-day. It is the one thing at a time. You have to do it that way because that's the only way. When you try to eat the whole elephant all at once, you're going to choke. Okay, so you have to do it one thing at a time, especially if you're dealing with other personalities, especially when you're dealing with people that might kind of take your trust and just kind of throw it back in your face a little bit. Now, that might not necessarily manifest that way for all of you. Obviously, this is a general reading. The Tower, though, it's sudden and it's something unexpected, and like, it kind of really comes out of the dark. It comes out of nowhere, and it could be your fear realized. That's why you have to be so careful. Because if you don't indulge in this, and then it's like, then at least you can say, like, I really wasn't expecting it. But if you have a really dark thought or a really dark fear, and you indulge it, and you continue feeding it, and you continue giving to that kind of thought pattern, then this is just going to be an inevitability. And then you kind of like, well, did I create that? Like, did I make that happen because I thought about it so much? Like, you have to be careful of how you indulge in this. And that might be a big part of, this magician energy, is how do you stop this Nine of Swords in its tracks? Boom, cut it off and begin a new thought pattern. You have to be super aware. It's hard. I'm not trying to tell you that it's easy. It's not. I still struggle with it. But it's like the minute you can start doing that on a regular basis is the minute that you truly do step into the co-creation role of your life. And therefore, are you creating this, or are you truly a victim of this, Some of you might really be like, wow, I really did have that fear and I kept thinking about it all day, and then all of a sudden it happened. Like, wow, maybe I did create it. You know what I mean? So there can be some aspect of that. Now, that's not going to apply to every one of you. I'm not saying that whenever something bad happens, it's like entirely your fault, but you do have to make sure that you're not in that role. That's all I'm saying, just to make sure you're not in that role. See, the Queen of Coins up here, I think she's just really wanting to be on a roll and just move forward. So the Nine of Swords is so counteractive. It's so completely opposite of everything that's going on up here. And, this card of sacrifice, maybe you do have to sacrifice a relationship or a friendship. Maybe you really do have to step away. Because if you don't step away, you're just going to reset some kind of karmic pattern. And I know that there are things that you want to try to get away from, that's what this whole year has been all about. Like, how do we get away from all that stuff and start inviting all the good stuff? Okay. Oh, 10 of Coins. Sacrifice. Like, this is where you're trying to go. I see you being so much conviction here, so much conviction. I think you're really tired of being in this place, whatever it is. Look, there are people that indulge in this 10 of Swords. Like, this is so annoying when we come across someone who indulges in this, because any playing of that victim is just then someone being a martyr. They just want someone to feel sorry for them and yada yada. And I don't think that's where you want to be. That's not really an Aquarian kind of deal. Like Pisces, yeah, okay. Virgo, yeah, okay. But not Aquarius. You're not one to really sit around and have a pity party for yourself all day. So, here we have the Eight of Cups directly after that, which tells me that you are motivated. Eight of Wands, you're totally motivated because you see, I think, like I said, I do think you're starting to see some of the results. So you're starting to understand how your thoughts beget emotions, and then emotions can impact actions and how they can impact reality and da. So you're just going to be I'm going to just keep focusing on what works. I'm not going to focus on the things that don't work anymore. That's dumb. Why would I do that? So you just have to let go, though. You just have to let go of the things, because if you've been clinging to a 4, but your future holds a 10, why wouldn't you want to invite the 10 into your life a lot sooner? See, I'm wondering if the 4 of Coins is not the King of Swords. You're hanging on to the 4 or the 5, right? And here he is reversed as well. man, I don't like this guy. He's super rubbing me the wrong way. If this is an aspect of you, you're just fooling yourself, right? It's like you're manipulating yourself into to staying here. If it's someone else, you have to be aware when they are trying to guilt you or shame you or whatever. Because I do think they are kind of up on their high horse. They do feed off of your energy a lot. They really aren't offering anything. See, that's the skepticism. That's the whole thing. It's like, you know that what they're offering you, it's like not even really an offer. Like there's something very empty about it. And same thing with the Page of Coins, right? Like you knew it, you know it, and you'll continue to know it. That whatever it is that they're handing out, it's like completely, it's like getting a fortune cookie with no fortune in there. You know, like thanks. A Three of Wands, like this is you really kind of stepping into your solo, your self-reliance by visualizing your future and really aligning yourself to like say, okay, well, I know what steps I need to take, and I'm just simply need to prepare myself to start taking those actions in real life. Because there's a lot of movement in this reading, guys. This is not a reading of standing still. Please, really, Venus in Capricorn, Jupiter in Capricorn, Mars in the 10th in Scorpio, please, like there cannot be stagnation right now. There just simply cannot be. So you're over it and you're moving on. You're trying to go to the place that has a lot less turbulence and a lot more peace and a lot more joy, I think. You know, you're trying to get yourself to a place of, you know, unity rather than disharmony. I'm just going to say this, it won't apply to all of you, but I do believe that some of you there might be a third-party situation going on. I have to say that because it's a very typical interpretation of these cards. And we also got the Lovers as well, so there's a quality of choice that comes out. So if there is some kind of a third-party situation that does happen, honestly, don't sit around and wait for anyone to make up their mind. I would highly recommend you just make up your own mind and leave the whole thing behind you, and start just kind of rebuilding I'm seeing a lot of rapid energy, so it's like rebuilding really fast. See, the Hermit is the keeper of wisdom. He is the wise man. That we all have this wisdom, and I think with the Sun in Sagittarius, a lot of us might be taking on that kind of energy too. The Hermit is the kind of all-knowing. He is the teacher, and this experience and this person and this situation probably, right, with the star illuminating this guy, probably has been one of the greatest learning experiences of your lifetime. So it's not for nothing. What did I say, right? Message in a bottle. Unexpected ways to receive messages literally out of nowhere. Like, what are the odds that this hit me in this way? There's a reason, right? Just like the Justice card, there's a reason, and it will come into focus. Now, we like the Eight of Coins a lot because this is you doing your thing, really in your zone, totally in your element, and feeling just kind of really good about your job, your work, your creations. King of Wands is such a disruptor, and Aquarians are disruptors. That's your whole thing, right? Uranus people, you do come in, you do disrupt, you do completely turn industries upside down. And I think you're ready to revolutionize some kind of part of your life. And the King of Wands, along with the Queen of Wands, has that fiery drive. You know, the thing I love about fire and air, much more so than earth and water, is simply the less density, right? Like when we talk about the chakra systems, the root chakra is earth, right? The lowest, water, then fire, then air, which rules the heart. And then it goes up to the ether. So it's like the air energy is like the closest to the ether energy that we have in this reality, in our zodiac system. And the fire and air being high, low density, very light, very loving, more likely and more inclined to take risks. You know, like there's a lot of freedom with being an air sign that I don't think a lot of people really understand. And it's a true asset. It really, really is. And the fact that you're coming out as fire mixed with your air, suns, ascendants, or moons, or whatever planet you're watching for, you know, you kind of have that added benefit of the passion and the will and the spirit. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what's going to get you out of bed and go to the gym. You know, that passion, the fire, that's what that is. So when we get the Lovers, there's unity within oneself and balance within oneself, which we also see with the Justice card over here. The Lovers is also communication. There's a high intellect that comes through with the Lovers card as it's associated with Gemini. There's expression, as we see with the serpent on the tree of knowledge there. There was one other thing I was going to say. Oh, the choice, the aspect of choice with the Lovers. And I see you choosing your Eight of Coins. I see you choosing your King of Wands. Now, the King of Wands, if you're like single, and maybe this is someone from the past, maybe, or I don't know, but if you are single, you may be attracting a King of Wands. If you're in business, you may be bringing on a King of Wands client or a King of Wands partner or employee. And, you know, honestly, they are going to do great things for you. And if it's a romantic situation, it could be one of the most amazing relationships of your life. This can only come in, though, when you create the space for it. A lot of these lower cards, like the first layer of cards, I said the words, like they seem to be a little bit choked. Like I feel like they're getting choked out a little bit by some of these potential energies. And it's like based on where you came from, there is a potential that you might not indulge in the benefit of where this is going. There is a strong likelihood that some Aquarians out there are going to start falling into the swords. They're going to start falling into the tower, falling into the moon energy. They're going to start like falling into the darkness because they can't discern and they can't differentiate. If you are dealing with an Aquarian, right, like they might be the King of Swords themselves. You know, they might be kind of doing that whole self-sabotage thing, you know, and that's unfortunate, but it's their own path and you just got to let them do what they got to do. I like this. It's so critical that you actually spend time realizing how far you've come. How far you've come, how many blessings you really have. Sometimes we can look and feel that sense of dissatisfaction, but if we just kind of flip our script, instead of saying, look how little I have, like, look how much I have. This is so typical of glasses half empty, glasses half full. Are you a pessimist or are you an optimist? You know what I mean? And I know that's such a generic, silly example, but that's really a big theme of the Seven of Coins. You take a look at where you're at, there seems to be an assessment going on. So if you're going to make an assessment, as logical and linear minded as you can be, being a air sign, I also know you have the extraordinary creative mind as well. So you might as well write a really cool dialogue for yourself about where you're at. You know, like talk about how cool it is rather than how terrible it is. And then the last card, well, we need to talk about these two, but this card here, we have the Justice. You don't need to fight. Can we just say that? You don't need to fight. Justice is happening no matter what. So if there was something really unfair that happened or something isn't being given to you in one avenue, it's going to find its way to you somehow, somewhere else. It's going to. It has to. Okay? You don't need to fight so hard. And if the scales feel out of balance right now, or if you feel like you are in the begging position here, like you're the one that's needing someone to give to you, please rewrite that dialogue. What did I just say? Rewrite that dialogue, because you are the one who is clearly in the position of resources. All right? You don't need anything from anybody. All right? You don't need their time, you don't need their attention. Some of you may be like, yeah, but I really need their money. Not necessarily, okay? That's why you're gonna need to tap into that self-reliance. And if you're dependent on someone and you need not to be, you're going to get self-reliant real quick. And I think that's what the Eight of Wands is really all about, because the Tower too is going to push you. It's going to kind of force you. So whatever your circumstances where it's lacking, it's going to start gaining traction. Nine of Cups. That is your emotional trophy case, is what I always say. There's this aspect of, look how far, look at all the blood, sweat, and tears that I've spent doing something, living my life. Like, you really, really should be proud of how far you've come. And don't forget the promise of the rainbow, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, leaving the past behind. I do see you having to maybe be a bit rigid, and maybe that's you being rigid with yourself first and foremost. Not critical, not harsh, not judgmental, but rigid, like really, really forcing yourself to be like, okay, I know what I need to do, you know, I might not like to do it, but I know what needs to be done, and I'm just gonna do it. And I'm not gonna be emotional about it, I'm not gonna be sad, I'm not gonna be a Debbie Downer, I'm just going to do it. Oh God, it's just Capricorn. And then the sun is going to be in Capricorn. There's going to be eclipses, and it's going to be this whole big thing. So after January, though, a lot of energy is going to start calming down, and you're going to want to make sure that you've really got a clean slate, you know, just for your own progress in life. You're going to want to make sure you've got a clean slate, okay? Just don't let anyone take advantage of you, all right? I love you guys. I wish you nothing but the best. Have an excellent Sagittarius season, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.